Welcome to Movie Slice. Quick, fun recaps of your favorite movies. Sharp, funny, and to the point. Hit subscribe and get your perfect slice of cinema. The movie starts at the train station, and there was a school trip to learn about the importance of trains in life. The guide tells them that the train they are about to board is called the Dream Train because it is very fast. He explains that it is the latest model and can travel from Tokyo to Hokkaido in just 4 hours. He also shows them the parts that connect each carriage to the next. Then, Mr. Takaishi continues and asks them to move and board the train, and they decide to take a photo before boarding this bullet train. Mr. Taka goes to get ready and meets his colleague Fuji, who tells him that he will be the chief supervisor today on the train trip. The train arrives, everyone starts to board, and on the train is Ms. Kakami, a high-ranking official in the parliament, as well as a famous author. The journey begins, and as expected, things are about to get crazy. In the control room, they are surprised by a phone call. The operator answers, "Welcome, do you need to book a trip?" He replies, "No, I brought you a gift today." He tells her he planted a bomb on the Hayabusa 60 train heading to Tokyo and that the bomb will explode if the speed drops below 100 kilometers per hour. He continues, explaining that the bomb is similar to the one planted on the cargo train number 2047. After giving them this terrible news, he hangs up. They immediately contact the head of Aomori Station, telling him to act quickly because Hayabusa 60 is in danger. Before he can finish, the train explodes because it slowed down as it entered the station. In a split second, chaos erupts, and everyone gathers to see the disaster. They remember a previous incident with train number 109 because it was exactly like this. They contact all the stations to warn them that the bullet train is in danger. Quickly, Itsuki moves to catch up with the other train and asks his team to switch to manual control so the speed doesn't drop below 100. They must clear all the stations because the train won't stop at any station until they figure out what to do about this crisis. They start following the instructions and they talk to Matsuyu, the train's captain, to inform her about the bomb. She must not stop at any station. She's shocked, but Itsuki tells her to follow orders quickly to save the passengers' lives. She switches to manual control, and of course, the supervisors are informed. Itsuki asks Supervisor Taka to tell the passengers that they will not stop at their scheduled stations due to operational issues being resolved, so they don't panic. On the train, everyone is enjoying themselves, unaware of what is happening. When Taka informs the passengers, some feel anxious, while others think it's no big deal. Meanwhile, everyone is on their feet, making plans to solve the problem. All the officers gather in one place, and the investigator starts his work. They begin evacuating all stations. Soon, the bomber calls and speaks to the leader Yoshi, demanding a ransom. In exchange, he will tell them how to stop the bombs. The criminal wants 100 billion Japanese yen, and he wants it ready before they reach Tokyo Station. While they complain about how hard it is to collect such a sum, the criminal suggests they ask every person in Japan to pay 1,000 yen, making it easier to gather the amount. He hangs up without saying goodbye. There is no solution except for the country's top officials to intervene. Sasaki arrives, an advisor to the Prime Minister. He tells them they mustn't give in because this is a test of their abilities. He also asks Itsuki to tell the passengers the truth about what's happening and not to lie to them. Nobody likes this suggestion, but Sasaki insists, saying they must find a way to expose the criminal quickly. These are government orders. Taka informs the passengers, and fear and chaos grip the passengers, and they argue with Taka. The criminal calls again, accuses them of not raising the ransom since he heard the announcement, and says they will bear the guilt for all the passengers. Suddenly, Sasaki joins the call, telling the criminal there will be no ransom and to do as he wishes. The criminal gets angry and hangs up, and unfortunately, they can't trace the call. Everyone is shocked to see a video posted online with detailed explanations of the bomb locations. The criminal repeats his demand for 100 billion yen to reveal how to stop the bombs. The officer asks his assistant to bring the file for train number 109 from 1975. On the train, everyone is terrified after learning they are sitting on bombs that could explode at any moment. Some develop phobias, others scream non-stop. After all, If the train stops at the station, they're all doomed. The disaster escalates when the control room learns that the 5060 train will face trouble at the switch point because another train is stuck there. They have about an hour to fix the malfunction. Sasaki decides to reroute the train north, but there is another train there, increasing the risk of collision and casualties. They decide instead to send the train south, but they only have 5.5 minutes. They plan the southern route and call Matsu to instruct her on what to do. Taka quickly asks everyone to sit down, fasten their seatbelts, and keep their heads down. At the moment of the route change, there's a slight jolt, but they manage to continue safely. One of the passengers suggests going live online and simultaneously talks to the passengers via the microphone. The passengers learn they must find a solution quickly, and he tries to help the government by creating a platform to collect donations for the ransom. He urges everyone to donate quickly. The situation grows more chaotic, and everyone starts blaming the government, fearing lives will be lost needlessly as before. They insist the government must not tolerate such incidents. On the train, one of the passengers spots Captain Goto, a former airplane captain responsible for many casualties in the past, whom everyone has blamed ever since. A fight breaks out between him and the passengers, and it turns into a full-blown brawl, just the way you like it. Taka quickly steps in to calm things down because Goto was about to lose his life, and Goto keeps begging people to press the emergency button. One of the people there feels sorry for him and decides to press the alarm, which makes a very loud noise that no one can stand. Taka tells everyone to calm down, saying, "Let's not make things worse." He talks to Matsu and tells her not to worry. They ask if there's a doctor among the passengers to help Goto before it's too late. In the control room, Matsu tells Taka that the sound of the emergency alarm almost made her stop the train reflexively. Shortly after, Social Taka goes to apologize to him for pressing the button without his permission, but he tells her she did the right thing because the man really was about to die. On the other side, everyone is trying to come up with a solution. They decide to try disconnecting a car from the train. If it works, they'll gather all the passengers into 2 cars and separate them from the rest of the train. But the stubborn Sasaki doesn't buy into the plan. Though no one pays him much attention, they start informing Taka about what they're going to do, and everyone is overjoyed because the rescue plan is about to begin. Taka also asks if there's an electrician among the passengers. Sheena gives her husband a slap and tells him to wake up, that this is his chance to prove his skills, even though he's just a modest electrician. Meanwhile, Fuji asks the passengers to move to the other cars. They start bringing the 2 trains closer together and begin transferring equipment by rope to the other train. The maintenance crew starts giving instructions to disconnect the cars, and they succeed. Taka continues the mission and disconnects the couplings, and indeed, they manage to separate the car from the train. Suddenly, the car explodes, which means the plan failed because the bombs are in all the cars, but Kasaki tries to think of an alternative plan and approaches 5060 train and transfer all the passengers to it. Everyone starts pushing and running, even though they said they'd start evacuating the elderly and then the children. Suddenly, Goto starts hitting anyone in his way. Meanwhile, Yuzuki decides to go back to the car with the bombs because she realizes one of her students is missing and she can't leave her behind. Ms. Kajami immediately follows to look for the missing girl, and Toto joins them along with Kajami's assistant. They find Goto causing chaos like a child, trying to escape to catch the other cars. Kajami tells him to do something decent. Suddenly, they find themselves being tossed left and right, and disaster strikes as the speed gets out of their control, and their bad luck continues. The corridor connecting the cars starts to break, and they need to disconnect the cars quickly because the danger is increasing. They try to disconnect the wires, and the biggest disaster is that a metal rod entered Fuji's shoulder, and the cars crash into each other, causing severe friction. On the train, Mrs. Yuzuki finally finds the missing girl, who was hiding and terrified. Shortly after, Taka is surprised by the force pulling him as he's bleeding, and the cars are battered from the friction. The news reaches the control room at lightning speed, and they learn they've managed to save about 340 people, with only 9 left, 3 of whom are from the train crew. Sasaki is absolutely thrilled, acting as if he saved everyone, and asks them to repeat the rescue operation. But he's shocked to learn that it's impossible to repeat the maneuver because these trains can't be modified multiple times, and time is no longer on their side, so they need to look for alternative plans. They ask Sasaki about the damage that will occur after the explosion, and he tells them the damage will be enormous. He says he wants to keep the explosion away from densely populated areas at any cost, then leaves without solving anything. On the other side, the remaining few people don't know their fate. Toru learns that donations have decreased because people found out that the remaining passengers are nothing compared to those already saved. Kajami tells them she's sure the government will never allow the train to reach Tokyo because the damage would be catastrophic, and everyone realizes they must stop the train by force. Taka keeps trying to reassure them, saying there's no way they'll be sacrificed. At this point, Yuzuki calls her father. Taka gets a brilliant idea. Meanwhile, Sasaki tells them there's no solution except to sacrifice those 9 passengers. A huge fight breaks out between the two sides because one wants to sacrifice the people and not pay the ransom. Suddenly, a call comes in from Taka about his plan, which needed government approval first. Sasaki tries to atone for his guilt and tells them to start implementing the plan, and he'll get the approval. At this point, Tsutomu is talking to her father, who finds out she's on the bullet train. She's talking to him in a disrespectful manner because he doesn't care. We find out her father was on the team that worked on the train case back in 1997. She tells him it looks like the criminals are back and that she is their target. He gets upset and tells her he's coming to finish them off. She tells him, "Do you still believe you solved it back then?" And here's the shock, dear. She tells him she's behind everything that happened. He can't believe her, and she tells him she knows the perpetrator back then killed himself. Not like he lied and made himself a hero. He did it because of the guilt he felt, and that's why she sees him as a brave man. When he tells her she must be crazy and could never get bombs like that, she says, "Check your fake trophy cabinet." As soon as he looks, he's shocked to find a bomb, and the whole house exploded. She walks away and calls emergency services, telling them she'll explain how to defuse the bombs. Everyone with her is stunned by what they heard. She continues, telling them she killed her father with the same kind of bombs on the train. When they ask her why, she says she made what she wanted, so she will tell them how to deactivate the bombs, but she has to die first because the bombs are linked with her heartbeat, because she has a heart condition, and if she dies, the device will stop. She then receives a message that the bombs have been deactivated. After all these surprises, she hangs up and leaves them to deal with each other. On the train, she tells them that to get out of this situation, they have to finish her off. The authorities had to continue the rescue plan, and they indeed started executing it. A citizen was doing his duty perfectly, but Goto kept insisting on finishing her off, saying she wasn't worth more than those who had already died. Of course, everyone refused, except Tadu, who wanted her dead for his own sake, and a fight broke out between him and the others. At that time, the lieutenant started investigating the old case and found out that the girl's father had made up a whole story, pretending to be a hero who saved innocent lives. But it was all lies, and he believed himself. He started demanding rights that weren't his at all. They confirmed this from Tsutomu's words and wondered how she made those bombs on her own, and were sure they were planted in the train cars a day before. Meanwhile, on the train, Yuzuki was sad for the girl because she had always followed her and saw her condition, knowing she had suffered great injustice from her father. She tells Tsu that she must put an end to all the fake displays people put on. On the other side, they were reviewing Tsu's accounts and found that her last post was, "I will destroy this fake normalcy." They also found that there was one person who always liked most of her posts, named Kasuto. They had many conversations, and it turned out he worked with explosives. They found out that Tsu had asked him to make her a bomb, and that she saw the whole world as ugly and full of lies. They quickly got to the place where he was, and the surprise was that he turned out to be the son of the man who committed suicide during the 1997 train accident. On the train, Fuji was in bad shape, begging Taka to save them, but the girl was fed up and told him to finish her off so it would all be over. Unfortunately, Taka couldn't do it. In the control room, they realized they couldn't reconnect the railway lines and had no choice but to tell Taka to try his best to save the lives with him and also try to stop Tsu. But unfortunately, he couldn't do that either. Instead, he hugged her and cried because he genuinely felt sorry for her due to the injustice and oppression she had faced. On the other side, The investigation started with that guy, and he told them about Sue, saying her father abused her because she was a girl, not a boy, and he did the same to her mother. We also learn, dear reader, that during the train accident, her father was supposed to arrest the criminal who wanted to blow up the train, the criminal being the father of the boy who helped her make the bombs. At that time, the man felt guilty and killed himself, but Sue's father took advantage of the situation and claimed he was the one who stopped him, making himself look like a hero. That's why the guy helped the girl, to take revenge for his father against hers. Importantly, they managed to find out exactly which train cars the bombs were planted in. Kasagi told them he hoped they could withstand the impact. Everyone gathered in front of one screen and learned that they would split the train cars into two directions. At that moment, they would separate the first 6 cars from the rest, thus saving the rest of the team. They started the plan. On the train, they secured themselves by gathering all the pillows from the seats to put around themselves. She was told she had to leave the control room and go with them because all the danger was in the first 6 cars. The poor girl couldn't untie her hands from the engine because her nerves were so tense and she was afraid the speed would drop at any moment. Taka helped her, and indeed she got up with him. They held hands, tied themselves with seatbelts, and the critical moment came. The impact began, the 6 cars exploded, and the rest experienced chaos, crashing, banging, chaos until morning, until it finally stopped. Rescue teams rushed to them and managed to reach the victims. No one could believe they had saved the people, and there were no casualties among them. They took the girl alone and asked her if she felt regret, telling her that the world isn't as ugly as she saw it and that there are many good and conscientious people. Taka went to check on her. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get more new videos.